The last time they let me film a minivan video, this is what I had to say. The final thing that I hope we've proven out today is that if you have a family and it is growing, that you consider a minivan over an SUV. But since this is Edmunds and we test everything, my bosses said that I needed to prove it. So we've brought along 2 other SUVs with us today, and we're going to do all the family stuff that we can think of with all 3 vehicles to figure out what kind of 3-row is actually the best for families. We're Edmunds, and we test hundreds of cars each year on the road and at our private track, so you get the most trusted reviews. If you want to know which car, truck, or SUV is the best, then stick with us. Representing the SUV contingent, we've got the Toyota Grand Highlander Hybrid and the Ford Expedition. And between these two, we're going to cover both midsize and full-size 3-row SUVs. And beyond that, these two are both members of our 1-year road test fleet, where we keep a car for about a year and 20,000 miles so we can let you know what it's like to live with day to day. The Ford, it's actually the newest addition to our fleet. So to keep up with the Expedition and all the other members of our garage, keep your eyes on this channel or head over to Edmunds. Instead of a traditional comparison, we've got something special for you today. We've come up with some demos that should illustrate how families will use each of these 3 vehicles, and that will allow us to show the pros and cons of each type. And what better place to start than inside? Car seats are actually pretty easy to install for all of these vehicles, at least in the second row. They've all got plenty of space with lower and upper latch anchors and tethers that are a cinch to access, and wide door openings, with the widest door opening actually belonging to the Toyota at 38 inches in a bit of an upset. In the third row, the Expedition and Odyssey, along with all of the other minivans except the Chrysler Pacifica, offer 3 sets of upper tethers so you could feasibly fit 3 booster seats across in the way back. The Toyota, it only has 2. But even though the seats are easy enough to install, once they're in, that's where we start to see some differences. One of the best parts of minivans is that it's actually easier to reach your kids, and some of my colleagues have told me that this is really, really important, especially when they're younger. Now, the middle seat here in the Odyssey, it doesn't slide forward, but in some other minivans it does, and that allows for even easier passage of snacks and drinks. What the Honda can do though is its outboard seats, they can both slide in and then they can slide forward. And that makes the second row really, really flexible. So if you actually have 2 young kids that you need to be able to reach at once, this is great for that. We also really like the Honda's removable middle seat because having this allows you to seat 8 when you need to, and when you don't, you can just pop this thing out and it's very light like this, and you can just store it in the back or in the garage. Now, this is a feature that the Odyssey does share with the Honda Pilot, so this is something that you can technically get in an SUV as well, but the third row on the Pilot is not nearly as good as what you're gonna get in the Odyssey. The other thing that minivans do well that SUVs don't, they make it easier to get into the third row, even with a car seat installed. As you can see, with a forward-facing seat, you might be able to squeeze your way in front of it. But if a rear-facing seat is in there, you're kind of stuck. Not so in the Odyssey. Its inward sliding seats can make a sizable alley that's easy to climb through to get into the third row. Pretty nifty. I originally thought that the minivan might have some extra vertical space in it. However, when we measured all 3 of them just behind the center console, it turns out that all 3 vehicles, they're actually pretty similar. Here in the Expedition, it's got a pretty good third row. As you can see, it's got legroom and headroom for adults and even a nice big window to see out of. However, even this giant Ford, it can't touch the minivan. The minivan's got more third row legroom and way more third row legroom than that Toyota. And it's also easier to get into the back of the minivan, especially if you've got 2 child seats installed. Add all that together, along with that very flexible second row and just the sheer interior volume of the minivan, and it's gonna have to take the win in the interior category. We've shown you how these things fit people. Now it's time to check cargo. On paper, minivans generally offer a pretty big advantage, and the Odyssey, it's no exception. It's got about 50% more cargo room behind each of its 3 rows than both of the other SUVs, and that extra space can really come in handy. One of the problems with many 3-row SUVs is that if you're going to put people in all 3 rows, you're probably not going to have enough room for all of their stuff. And even here in the full-size Expedition, as you can see, we fit 4 of our bags, but not the other 2. In the back of the minivan and in the back of the Grand Highlander Hybrid, actually, we were able to fit all 6 bags, but the minivan, it still has a behind the 3rd row cargo advantage because of that deep well. It just gives you more vertical space than you would ever really need. And speaking of needs, if you need to get a great price on your next new car, head over to Edmunds. We've got all the tools on our site to help you do just that. There is a very good reason that the maximum cargo number is so much bigger here in the Odyssey. And that's because this entire 2nd row is removable and it gives you this wide open cargo area. Now the outboard seats, they are a bit heavy and bulky. They might be hard for one person to remove, but I was able to get them out without that much trouble. And as you can see, just tons of space back here. There's actually enough room back here to fit an entire sheet of plywood lying down. Just lots and lots of space here in the Odyssey. We should note though that you can't do this in all minivans. In the Toyota Sienna, its 2nd row is not removable. And in some versions of the Kia Carnival, you also can't take all the seats out like the Carnival Hybrid that we have in our 1-year road test fleet. It's got these big recliners. Those don't come out, but if you get the 8-seat version, you can yank all those things easily. One last thing to mention, and that would be load-in height, or the distance from here all the way down to the ground. Now the Grand Highlander Hybrid, it splits the difference between the other 2 vehicles at 32 inches, while the Odyssey, it's by far the best at right around 24 inches. The Expedition, that thing has a problem because at 37 inches or just over 3 feet, if you have to load anything heavy into the Ford, you might have to strain your back a little bit. And even though the Expedition has a lot of cargo room, that's no fun. Our final test is about parking because we've all been there. You're driving around looking for a spot and all you can find is one of these. To test each vehicle, we parked its counterparts with their tires still inside of the other space and did a little test to see if it was possible to squeeze out of any of the doors in these cramped quarters. Okay, so we're parked here in the Expedition and the crew tells me that I even cheated a little bit and gave myself a little more room on this side. So we're gonna try to get out. That car parked to my right, they have no chance of getting out. And here, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Maybe if I was skinnier, maybe if I didn't love lunch so much, I could probably make it out. The other problem though is with confines this tight, and if you have a kid in the back, do you trust them getting out too, opening the door really carefully and then sneaking out? There's gotta be a better way. This time it fits into the spot a little bit better, but we'll see if I can make it out because it seems like it's still a pretty tight squeeze. So here we go. All right, there goes one foot. Nice to be on the ground and not on a side step. There's about half of me and nope, it's not gonna make it. And the other problem too with the Grand Highlander Hybrid is this back door. It's very, very, very long. This thing actually has the widest 2nd row opening of all 3 vehicles here. So if I can't make it out of this door, with this door being even longer, there's no chance of anyone making it out of that door, even if your kid is a lot skinnier than I am. Let's try the Odyssey. If you want any more information on these 3 vehicles outside of these demos or the lowdown on any new car on sale today, head over to Edmunds to check out our full ratings and reviews with all the details. Okay, now we're parked in the Odyssey and let's see if we'll make it out of this thing. Probably not, because it's about as wide as that Grand Highlander is, even if both vehicles are skinnier than the Expedition. And nope, we're not gonna make it. If I had like another ½ inch maybe, or if I was okay touching the other car with my car, I could probably get out, but I don't think that I'm gonna make it out of this one either. The advantage though of the Odyssey is of course those sliding doors, and that means that even if you can't get free, at least your kids can. So what did we learn? We learned that none of these vehicles fit very well into a compact space, but if you're in a minivan, at least your kids are gonna be able to get out free, and you might be able to get out too without having to climb out through the lift gate. I guess that's a win for the minivan, but really, you should probably circle the block one more time and look for a bigger space. Before we wrap things up, we just want to quickly thank you for sticking around and ask if you've been enjoying our videos to please give us a like and subscribe. They go a long way towards helping us make more helpful content just like this. So across all 3 of our demos, it turned out to be a clean sweep for the minivan. It had the most interior flexibility, had the most cargo room, and also allowed you to get out of a tight parking space, at least if you're sitting in the back seat. It turns out that shaping your vehicle kind of like a loaf of bread is probably the best shape if you want to maximize utility. And that's why you hear about a lot of cargo vans running around, but not a lot of cargo SUVs. There are still very compelling reasons to buy an SUV, especially if your plans include going off-road or any kind of towing. Those vehicles are going to be much better suited for those activities. However, I think that what we've proven today, without a doubt, is that if you want to maximize the amount of family-friendly features and utility you're getting in a single vehicle, the minivan is going to be the clear winner on that front. And if you're a member of the No Minivan Club and you just want to buy an SUV, yeah, the Grand Highlander Hybrid and the Expedition, they're both pretty good family vehicles in their own right. You should just know what you're giving up. Thanks for watching.